another episode of the Screen Addicts podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Cinema Steven Scrumdiddlyumptious Sosa.
And I am your other co-host, Chris. The snozberries taste like schnozberries, Viegas.
They do, and I bet they are delicious.
They are. They
You
really
know what
are.
else is delicious? Candy. I love candy. What do you think, Chris?
I'm interested in seeing what kind of candy man you are.
Candy, dude. We got to be careful when we say candy man because we're talking about.
That's already twice, bro.
Yeah, right. We're talking to specify and for our own personal well-being. We are talking about Willy Wonka, not the Tony Todd variety of Seaman. Okay, we're talking about Willy Wonka because Wonka is actually coming out this weekend with Timothy Chalamet taking over the mantle of said Wonka. Well, I guess it's I mean, it's a prequel. It shows how he became the chocolate entrepreneur that he becomes, and I think it looks great. I personally am fully invested in the movie, not because I'm a huge Chalamet fan. I do like the guy. I think he's really good. Everything I've seen him in, he's a good actor. I'm interested to see what he's going to do with this. But the thing that is pulling me into this particular Wonka flick is that it is from director Paul King. And if I haven't stressed enough, that is the director of the Paddington movies.
Paddington, yeah.
So that's all I needed to see. I'm like, I don't need to see a trailer. I don't need to see a poster. I don't need to see anything about this movie. Give me that name, Paul King. I'm in 100%. Yeah. And he's still doing, I think, Paddington 3 on top of all of this. So I'm pretty excited about all of that. Are you going to go see Wonka? Or are you going to try to go see it?
I'm going to try. That is one movie, like, I know I can take the boys and Tasha and we can all go enjoy it. So I've made them watch the trailer a couple times and they're excited. So hopefully this weekend, man, we can go off and watch a movie, which is rare occasion for us.
It is indeed. And it's crazy to think that this is the third Wonka movie in 40 years, over a 40-year span, and obviously based off the Roald Dahl book. A lot of people didn't really take to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Johnny Depp, Tim Burton one, and I liked it. I
loved it.
It was also kind of riding that wave of just people loving on everything Johnny Depp and Tim Burton were doing, and them together was just such a wonderful pairing. And while it was completely different, I think it actually sit more within the book than Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But that being said, the original Gene Wilder one, I mean, that thing is just, it's so good. I don't think that it would ever be topped. I think that this one, because I don't know if this is based on any kind of book. I haven't read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory since I was a little kid. And I don't think that they really go into much detail of what Wonka or where he came from is, which is exactly what this movie is going to be.
So it's all new territory, which is good.
I think that's good too. I think it's exciting because, I mean, why make just another Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when you have a bunch of kids, the golden ticket, as much as we love all that stuff, it's been done. And I think venturing into new terrain, seeing how he meets the Oompa Loompas, I think that's great. I mean, Hugh Grant. I was going to say, dude, how do you think Hugh Grant's going to be? I think he's going to be good. Yeah. Because Hugh Grant has previously worked with Paul King in Paddington. So I'm fully invested because he actually played the villain in Paddington too. So it all goes back to the big pad. But that is the main inspiration for this week's episode. We are going to be talking about our favorite usage of candy in movies. And I have to apologize to you, Chris. I was like, no, this will be easy. We got this. No problem. I kept making a lot of mistakes and thinking certain food items applied for this topic. And I'm like, wait, that's not candy. That's like cake. That doesn't count. Sweets.
So, sweets. That's the problem I ran into with this one is I was like, oh, that's like more cake or more cookie or not necessarily candy. Yeah, it's a sweet and candies are sweet, but it's a whole different realm with like pastries and stuff like that. So
we should have just said sweets. Damn it. Now that I think about it, it like really opened the field to a lot of things.
Yeah, but we love to be challenged, man. And this was a challenge a little bit. So
it was indeed. But before we get into our top 3 uses of candy in films, we must go into our recently watched segment. So, Chris, what have you recently been watching?
All right, my friend. Couple things. You know how I get on my binges.
Mm-hmm.
And so this week I binged all 4 seasons of Netflix's On My Block.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. My good friend of mine, Matt Gonzalez, man, he's been on me to watch this show for a couple of years now, and I finally got around to it. And it's because of him, and I also blame TikTok because you're scrolling through TikTok sometimes, and they just hit you with some scenes from TV shows and stuff. And this one kept popping up. I was like, okay, this is a sign I have to watch it. So started it on Monday, finished it last night, all 4 seasons. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. You
Dude,
really cleared it out. It must have been good then.
it is really good, man. It's the right amount of funny, mixed in with the right amount of like seriousness, because there are 3 times, and I count 3 times in this show that you can ugly cry, and 3 times I did.
Okay.
It does such a good job of storytelling about these 4 kids that grow up in California, in this barrio neighborhood, and they're surrounded by street gangs and stuff like that, and growing up in the life. And it's I say it's like, oh, it takes me back to when I grew up in the barrio, but not like that.
Yeah.
I can't say I know exactly how they feel, because in some aspects, yes. In some, I mean, of course, TV is gonna over dramatize it, but man, it's good, and you get into the life with these characters, especially when you go on a 1-week binge of 4 seasons. Like, you're really invested into some of these characters. And like I said, man, there's 3 times in this show where you can just ugly cry, because there's some key not really spoilers. I mean, the show ended a couple of years ago, I guess. But there's some key deaths in this show that you're just like, shit, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched it yet, highly recommend On My Block. Again, shout out to my my buddy Matt Gonzalez. He says it's one of his favorite shows, and to quote him, one of his favorite sayings, and he tells me all the time, is "bitches be bonkers."
Indeed.
It's one of the main lines in this show, and I'm like, dude, where did you get that from? And he's always said, it's from that show. You just got to watch it and see, and it's hilarious. So, "bitches be bonkers" is great.
I think that was written on ancient Egyptian scrolls or something, right?
It had to be, man. It had to be.
So you said that it's completely done. How many episodes are there in a season?
8 to 10.
Okay. Okay.
There's a couple seasons that have 8. There's a couple that have 10.
Is it full
45-minute episodes.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a couple nights this week that I stayed up till like 1 or 2, because I'm like, I got to finish this one. I got to see what happens next. When you get into that mindset of like, it's almost like you don't want to put a book down, because you want to see what happens. And that's what happened with this show. So that I finished. That consumed most of my screen time until this evening. Me and Tasha sat down and we watched, I think it's a Golden Globe nominee.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Golden Globe nominee for Best Picture, I believe.
Yes.
Past Lives.
Okay.
And
finally,
one of my most anticipated movies of 2023, and I finally sat down and watched it in the last month. Yeah, it's great.
That is a hell of anticipation right there.
Right? But man, okay. Here's no spoilers. Absolutely no spoilers on this. Tasha did not like it. She said it was kind of boring. It moves slow. Not really too much to bring you in. But this comes from Tasha that really likes her drama shows. So she has to have something that pulls this show in a forward motion. If you are more into kind of a laid back, more artsy type of film, it does have story in there, and there's a lot of character development throughout the movie, but it is slow. I will give it that. It does have a kind of a slow pace. But if you're looking into this movie as like Tasha was trying to look into it as like a drama filled type of show, it is not. It is a very let's say thinking, like there's character development that you've got to go deep within, and it shows. And how they go from, it's a story about these two kids that grew up in Korea, and then one immigrates to the US. They don't talk for 12 years. Then he finds her. They Skype, and then they lose touch again. And then 12 years later, they reconnect. And it just shows the progression of their lives in this 24-year span. To me, it's a beautiful movie.
Sure.
The shots, there's some shots in this movie that are just breathtaking, and I think you'll like it a lot because a big part of this movie is set in New York City, and so you'll see probably a lot of stuff that you saw when you lived there, and kind of the views and stuff like that. So it's definitely a very cinematic movie. There's a lot of beautiful shots. There's a good score to it that ties really well within the movie. It's I would say about 75% Korean dialogue, 25% English. So there's a lot of subtitles to read if you don't know Korean, I guess. But man, I liked it. And I think I don't know if it's Best Picture worthy. I'm glad it got nominated because it is good, but will it win? It's gonna be a tough one for this one to win, I think.
Well, it's a good thing I'm 100% fluent in Korean, so yes. I don't need the subtitles at all. But yes, we will be talking about the Golden Globe nominations in our headlines. But yes, that was definitely one that a lot of people were expecting to see Best Picture nominated, and I'm glad you finally saw it because man, that list of yours, I think you pretty much saw all of them now that on your anticipated list.
This was the last one to really round up on it. So
well, good. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know why I'm waiting. I could watch it at any point at this time.
And it's a quick watch, dude. It's only an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, I thought it was longer. You know what I thought? I thought it was going to be like Drive My Car, which was almost 3 hours. I mean, you want to talk about long and drawn out dramatic. I mean, so it's kind of like Tasha was saying, she likes the sensational type of drama.
Right.
That kind of stuff, which I understand. I do too. But I also can sit through the long drawn out stuff, but I guess that's what this is. But and Drive My Car was like that too. I thought Drive My Car was really good. I liked how it had a focus on theater and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Like I said, it's technically a quick watch. It does feel like longer than an hour and 45 minutes because of the pace. But it's one of those that it's a thinker, man. It's a thinker.
Let me tell you, was it more intellectually sound than A Lot Like Love with Ashton Kutcher?
Very much so.
Yeah, I like that movie. I thought that movie was good. I don't know. That's just me.
I didn't think it was bad, but
yeah. So what else did you watch, man?
That's it, Brian. Like,
okay,
that was it. My binge of On My Block took my time.
Damn, as much as you watched of it, I can't imagine too many other things being on your docket. But
Yep.
we had a ton of headlines that I wanted to cover. So luckily I didn't have too many things that I watched, which
Mm-hmm.
is good. Me and Sonia, she hadn't seen Bad Santa 2. So I was like, well,
Oh.
let's rewatch 1 and 2. And I don't remember the last time she saw part 1, but she was dying laughing. I mean, just I hadn't seen her laugh that hard in a movie in a long time. And I love Bad Santa, but I can't remember. I know we watched Bad Santa 2. I have the Blu-ray, so at some point since 2016 we watched it. I just cannot remember it for the life of me. Those movies they're good. They're very dark, very you have to have somewhat of a semi-disturbing sense of humor to appreciate that movie. It is definitely
Mm-hmm.
not for the woke culture and viewership because
Yeah.
damn,
Nope.
it's especially that first one, man. That was like '03, and
Oh.
they just did not give a shit. Wow, it's the 20th anniversary of Bad Santa. I just realized that. That's crazy.
Wow. We're
Wait,
old.
yeah, you are. And so we we watched Bad Santa 1 and 2, and a couple of TV shows before the last movie I wanted to talk about. Okay, for one, Reacher started a day early, so I started
Ooh.
watching it. Oh, it's so good. You know, I
That's
read
the next binge.
yes, and well, Prime is doing the weekly thing, so they only gave you, yeah,
No.
they like the boys, like they only gave you the first 3. So I was like, you sons of bitches. But
Damn
you
it.
know, it's okay. That's what we grew up with, the weekly watch. So
Yeah.
we could take this, Chris. We were bred, we trained for this. A livelihood of viewership has prepared us for such a thing. But then again, binging, like you said, 4 seasons of one show. It kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
I started the first episode, and you know, not to flex on the listeners or anything, but I don't read that many books, and I did whenever the Tom Cruise Reacher movie came out. When was it? Like 2012, I think was the year. I was like,
Mhm.
this is a really interesting character. So I started reading the books. There's like 30 of these Reacher books. So I'm not even
Really?
anywhere near any of them. No. They started in the 80s. I think The Killing Floor was in 1986 was the first Reacher book.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty old. So I was like, you know, I'm going to start reading these books because they're not too long, like 300-page novels. And I read the first 10. And I stopped after the first 10. I kind of want to go back and keep going because every single one of them were really good. And
Mhm.
season 1 of Reacher was based on the first book. And man, I was just telling Tanya, I was like, it's so good to watch a show based off of a book. And it's really weird knowing a lot of the things in it because I read the book. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's what people are always talking about, you know, and they're like, it's different from the book. And I guess the closest thing that I have are comic books because I read a lot of comic books. I still do. So anytime something on TV or in movies, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That's funny. And but with Reacher, I read the first 10 books. So season 1 is the first book, and then season 2 that's coming out is the 4th book. And right off the bat in the first episode, I'm like, oh wow, that's exactly how book 4 starts, is just like this. So that's pretty good. And I mean, it's such a great show. I love it. I almost told you that I wasn't going to be able to record tonight so I could just watch Reacher, but our listening audience was waiting anxiously
Mhm.
for our next episode, and I will never let them down. So here we are. But I
And then
guarantee
you
you,
can stay up late and watch it after we're done. That's fine.
I was gonna say, as I'm cutting this episode, Reacher's gonna be on that screen. I guarantee it. But yes, and season 5 of Fargo started. So if you're a fan of that series, season 5 is on and stars John Hamm, Juno Temple from Ted Lasso and other things. And oh, it's so good. I love how every season of Fargo is its own storyline, new characters, new actors, everything. And
Mhm.
this season 5 is already starting out very well. And I finally finished Superman and Lois season 3,
Mm.
and it was good. I think that it started out pretty well, but man, it finished so strong. And I loved
It
how,
did.
speaking of knowing pre-existing material, they actually pulled in the storyline of where Lex Luthor takes a Bizarro Superman and
Mhm.
transfuses him and turns him into Doomsday. So that's what they did for this Superman and Lois. It's like the old New Earth series. I was like, oh shit. I was like, that I didn't expect him to take, you know, Bizarro Superman and turn him into Doomsday like that old comic. I was like, that's awesome.
Mhm.
I haven't seen that. I mean, like I said, it's so cool when they do something on screen that you don't anticipate seeing. And something like Superman or The Flash, it's like they've had so many versions of this already out. Like, what are they going to do different? And I was actually going to share an image on the Screen Addicts because I was so excited about how they handled the whole doomsday scenario. And they leave you on a massive cliffhanger. They're basically, spoilers, like they're on the moon just charging at each other, and then it goes to credits. I was like, you bastards. And unfortunately, season 4 is going to be the final season of Superman and Lois. So if you're a fan of that show, anticipate that to be the last season. And
they cut out my girl in this last season, I think, because from what I've read, they wanted to focus more on the kids, and so they cut back Emmanuel Shrieky,
yeah,
her character, and I'm like, no, because she was actually really good in this show.
I mean, she's still pretty featured pretty well. I mean, I get what you're saying.
No,
they definitely,
in season 4, she's done.
Oh no. Yeah. I thought you meant like season 3.
No. Season 4, like she went on her Instagram and was like she's not even going to be part of the cast.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. They had like a whole thing going on with John Henry and wow.
They're
that really
cutting that all out.
Dude, every time I see her, I'm like, man, they should have made her Lois Lane. Like, good Lord.
No
Clark.
shit, right?
I was like, Clark, I mean, come on, bro. Let's go back to Lana Lang here, you know? But because she's really good in that show. That's unfortunate. I didn't even know about that. Thank you for the groundbreaking and depressing news. Not only is it ending, but apparently she's gone too. But I've grown to like the Lois Lane actress who plays her. I think she brings something to it that's a little bit different. I mean, anything's better than what's her name from Superman Returns, Blue Crush. What's her name? Why can't I think of her name? That's the whole problem, you know. Kate Bosworth. Yeah. Kate Bosworth.
Okay, yeah.
That was such a weird casting choice, but I guess it's because Kevin Spacey worked on her. I'm sorry, man. With Spacey,
too soon, bro.
Yeah, that wording was very unintentional. I promise. I meant like Kevin Spacey worked with her on Beyond the Sea. There you go. So he was probably like. Oh yeah, telling Bryan Singer, "Oh, you should check out Bosworth. She's really good in this movie. She should be your Lois Lane." And I mean, okay, I could have thought of 1,000 other actresses. I'm still holding out for Rachel McAdams to be Lois Lane. I think she's going to be great. Oh wait, we got Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Yeah. Never mind. She'll be good. She's a better choice.
That's Marvelous Miss Maisel, right?
Yeah, that's her. I think she'll be really good.
I think so too.
The final thing that I watched was The Holdovers, the Paul Giamatti, Alexander Payne movie. Alexander Payne is the director of Election, About Schmidt, Sideways, The Descendants, Nebraska. I mean, he's got a whole crop of movies that, I mean, they're all great. And he is reuniting with Paul Giamatti from Sideways with this one. And basically, it's set in the 70s. Paul Giamatti is a tenured professor at this very posh private school for high schoolers. And I guess it goes down, it's a private academy, so they go all the way down to like elementary school. And what happens is, like, during the holiday break, during Christmas break, all the students go back home to spend their time with their family for the holidays. But there's a few holdovers, hence the title, where they come and they have to stay there. And he's being punished, so he has to be the acting chaperone for about 4 of these boys who, you know, their parents either neglected them or they just don't have anywhere to go for the holiday season. So typical fashion, they're all kind of messed up, and he starts to bond with one in particular. And it's such a great movie. I think that also got nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Picture. I think that's in the comedy category, which, yeah, it's got a lot of funny parts in it, but I mean, we'll get into that in a minute. But The Holdovers, I highly recommend you watch it. If you're a fan of Alexander Payne, you're going to love this movie. It's actually one of his best ones that he's done in a long time. And yeah, so The Holdovers. And I think that's all I had, man, for this week anyway. So I guess we'll just hop right into headlines. Okay, so the obvious first headline. The Golden Globe nominations have been announced. If you want to pull them up, man, we can read like some of the main ones that we have. And I there's nothing there that was really shocking or surprising, especially in the TV category. I think a lot of those were kind of expected, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've had a lot of people respond to our posts about the movies that were nominated, especially in the comedy and musical category. People are like,
Mm-hmm.
how is this a comedy or musical? I said, well, the Golden Globes does this thing every single year where they only have 6 candidates or 6 nominees for every category that they have. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there's going to be more dramatic fare that they want to nominate. So, what they'll do is just go ahead, regardless of its genre, lob it into the comedy and musical category just to get more nominations for the movie. Because, like, for example, I think the craziest one for comedy or musical was May December. I think that got nominated for best comedy or musical. And let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, I was laughing my ass off when I watched that movie. I'm pretty sure it's in the maybe it was the TV. Oh no, I know what it is. It was the Bear. The Bear again getting nominated for best comedy.
Comedy.
It's like what? Come on, just add more nominees to your categories. Nobody's gonna get mad. People, if you can't settle on one nomination or 6 nominations, just go ahead and do it that way. But um, so if you want to read off the best picture
Yeah.
drama nominees, let's see what we got.
Best picture drama, you have Anatomy of a Fall,
Okay.
Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, and The Zone of Interest.
Okay.
I've watched 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've watched 2 of those as well. No, actually, I think I've only watched one of those, which is Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
This is crazy. Well, like 2 of them are foreign language films. The Anatomy of the Fall, I believe, is Danish, and then the what's the other?
Zone of Interest,
The
I
Zone of
think.
Interest is German because it's like set
Mm-hmm.
during 1944 Nazi occupied Germany, where I guess this family is living right next to a concentration camp. So it's like very heavy in drama, but that was the big news about those 2 particular films. Well, I guess in Past Lives too. So 3 films
Yeah.
were heavily foreign language films nominated for Best Picture. So that's kind of, but the Golden Globes is the Hollywood Foreign Press. So it's a committee made up of foreign press officials. So
Yeah.
not anyone from here in America. So I think their nominations are kind of, and that's always been kind of the running gag about the Hollywood Foreign Press. They always like to nominate people who may not deserve nominations, but they just want them to attend their ceremonies just because they're big stars. I always go back to The Tourist with Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie, like one of the dumbest movies of both of their careers. But yet that movie got nominated for best comedy or musical. Both of them got best actor and actress nominations. And I'm thinking, wow, you really, really wanted them to attend, didn't you? So, okay. So yeah, I guess if you were voting, would you say Past Lives wins this one based on what you've seen?
Based off what I've seen, I mean, to me, Oppenheimer wins it.
Yeah. I've heard good things about Maestro. It's basically about the composer. Is it Leonard Bernstein? I can't remember his name. He's a very prominent composer that Bradley Cooper is playing.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that'll get a lot of recognition for things. But I mean, Oppenheimer, man, that's all. Barbie and Oppenheimer, those 2 movies are like really the only 2 movies that most people talked about throughout the entire year. And
yeah.
But yeah, so I need to catch up on those. I need to figure out where I can watch Anatomy of the Fall and the Zone of Interest, because I watched the trailers for them. I'm like, oh, these look really good, but foreign films.
Foreign films.
All right, so for the best comedy and musical, what do we got?
Best comedy in musical, we have Air.
Okay.
Okay. American Fiction.
Okay.
Barbie. The Holdovers, May December, and Poor Things.
Okay, so May December did get nominated best comedy or musical.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Come on. And like, I really liked Air, but I was kind of surprised it got nominated best picture. I mean, I guess it was really good.
It was good, but yeah. I don't know if you put it in this realm.
No,
they just really want Ben Affleck there.
Yeah, and Matt Damon. They're like, maybe Michael Jordan will show up too. But yeah, that's an interesting field. I would give it to Barbie. I think some movies should deserve recognition for their status of what they were able to contribute to cinema. Because I mean, Barbie,
Yeah.
it technically, it's very sound. The production value was incredible in that movie. That's all everybody was talking about all year long. The performances were really good. Ryan Gosling is legit hilarious in that movie. And I remember when we watched it, I said this movie should get nominated for awards because it's so well done, and just how it's put together, the story that it tells. I think Barbie's going to probably win that. I'm calling it right now. Barbie's going to win it.
I mean, if I have to go off of what I've watched, Air. I haven't watched any others.
Yeah.
So,
if I was thinking about, I would say The Holdovers was a much better film than Barbie. Just all around. I really enjoyed the hold. What did you say it was? Holdovers, May, December, Barbie, Air, and
Poor Things.
Poor Things. Oh, that who directed that, right? Yorgos Lanthimos, my dude. The Lobster is back.
Oh my gosh.
I was gonna go watch that this weekend, but we didn't get it at either one of our movie theaters in town. I was pissed.
Hey, he got nominated for Best Director for
You're damn right he
did.
For that. He should get nominated for everything he does because The Lobster is perfection. I will say it right now. Dude, you should watch The Lobster with Tasha. She would have a mind melt.
Oh, man. She would freak out, man.
It's so damn weird. And when I'm saying a movie is weird, it's pretty damn weird. But I loved that movie. I just thought it was so good. And The Killing of the Sacred Deer was good, but it was a lot different. It was a little bit more grounded. Not as funny, that's for sure. But I heard a lot of good things about Poor Things, and I believe Emma Stone got nominated for that movie as well.
Yep.
So that's really good. I've heard a lot of good things about that movie.
So here's one category that I want to get your prediction on. Okay. Best original song in a motion picture.
All right, let's hear 'em.
This one's kind of loaded, man. Okay. Addicted to Romance by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, shit.
Dance the Night by Mark Ronson with Dua Lipa, Andrew Wyatt. I'm Just Kin.
Oh, man.
Road to Freedom, Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
What Was I Made For from the Barbie movie as well. And Peaches by Jack Black.
Dude, that's awesome. That's a great field of. I cannot wait. I don't think they do it at the Golden Globes, but if those got nominated for Oscars, I cannot wait to see every single one of those performances.
Right?
Obviously, I would want Bruce Springsteen to win. Just out of, but that's my personal bias. But if I'm not serious, but like I would give it to Jack Black and Peaches because that song, I guess even the same thing with I'm Just Ken, like you were hearing that everywhere. And but Peaches, I think really, really moved beyond the zeitgeist. Like that was literally everywhere in anything that you could see. I'm honestly thinking that it's going to come down between I'm Just Ken and Peaches. Dude, I'm telling you. But I can't wait for those performances at the Oscars because they're going to nominate them because I mean they are good. Man, I didn't realize my boy Bruce Daddy got nominated. Man, that changes everything right there.
And that's a good category, man. I'm interested to see who wins that one for sure.
That'll be fun
for sure.
And I guess what about the dramatic TV series? We could do the comedy series and TV series and then move on to the next headline.
Television best drama series.
Okay.
1923.
Oh yeah, the Western.
The Crown.
Okay.
The Diplomat. The Last of Us. The Morning Show and Succession.
Damn. I love Succession. I think Succession will win, to be honest with you, just because it cleaned up the Emmys. But Last of Us, it's so good, man. It's just so good.
And The Morning Show is really good too, man.
I still haven't watched it.
Oh, I mean, I don't blame you a lot because it's really good. It doesn't get a lot of push, I don't think.
Sure.
One problem, it being only available on Apple. So, I mean, if you don't have Apple TV, it is very hard to get a hold of and watch. But man, Reese and Jennifer, it's dynamic duo, man.
That's what I heard.
It's a really good show.
Dude, I have Apple, but what's funny is like we've watched a bunch of shows on Apple, just not that one. It's crazy. I don't know how we're like weaving around it constantly by watching Hijack, Slow Horses, the damn friended one, or what's the one that I liked with Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, where they're just like best friends, and I'm just like, what? I don't understand how I'm still haven't watched the morning show. It's like one of their top series aside from Ted Lasso. So I'll get around to it. But I mean, yeah, good cast. So that seems like a pretty good field.
It is a good field. And apparently to be nominated, you have to have the word "the" at the beginning of the title.
It's key.
It's All right. So best television series, musical or comedy, Abbott Elementary. Which I still don't get, man.
Yeah. You said that last year, too. Still not sold on it, huh?
No. Barry, The Bear, Jury Duty, Only Murders in the Building, and Ted Lasso.
I mean, damn, that's a tough one. That is a stacked card right there. I mean, Ted Lasso, obviously, I would say is my favorite out of that group. But The Bear, and I mean, the fact that The Bear is in comedy is just such a joke. Like, that's a drama series. Like, there's some funny things in it. But I will say that The Bear, I don't know, I might have liked it more than Ted Lasso this year. Dude. It was so good.
The second season was really good. Also, I haven't watched Only Murders in the Building.
I haven't either.
But I've heard it's really good.
Same.
So, TV Vegas has got some TV to be watching.
I mean, you watched 4 seasons of that. I mean,
of one show, and it's not on. It's not on any of these.
What did On the Block get nominated for?
Best Cholo performance.
Man, give them all the awards.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, well, that will be airing in January, towards the end of January, and that'll be kicking off the awards season, because then the Oscars are usually a couple months later. So, all right. The next headline that I have here, unless you had any other thoughts on the Golden Globe nominees, any snubs that you thought, or anything that you watched that you felt should have been nominated?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
Taylor Swift's Eras got nominated. Well, what's that category? That new category they had where it's
Taylor Swift category. That's what it is.
Where it's like the best cinematic movie. Like, this is a brand new category that they had for this year. We should run that one down.
Best cinematic and box office achievement.
Okay.
Is what I'm looking here. Barbie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Okay.
John Wick Chapter 4. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Okay.
Oppenheimer. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The Super Mario Brothers movie. And the Taylor Swift Eras Tour.
You know, it's such a weird category. You're talking about box office dominance. Well, okay, we'll just look at the one that grossed the most and that wins. So I mean,
the winner, yeah.
Like, what's the standard or credit? I mean, I know it's a brand new category for this year, and I know they're trying to lump in a couple of more mainstream films, a very People's Choice type of nomination that one feels like. But yeah, I was thinking, okay, well, Barbie outgrossed all of them this year, so clearly that should win. I mean, is that the criteria based on this nomination? It's really different, but
I guess we have to go in and see exactly what their stipulations to be on this was. Maybe it's not just box office money.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
That is weird. Okay, well, the next headline. This is a crazy headline, man. So director Jay Roach wants Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie to play Danny Ocean's parents in what is apparently going to be a Danny Ocean prequel. Did I not just say And one of the previous episodes, I had no idea that they were making a Danny Ocean prequel. And in one of the episodes that we had a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about, prequels to characters that we think would be cool. No shit, I had no idea that they were making this. And I read that article thinking, he wants Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling to play his parents. Wait, they're making a Danny Ocean movie? This is amazing. So I just wanted to say to the listening audience that Jay Roach is probably looking for me to thank him for the inspiration for this movie. So it's all his. He can have it. Obviously, we're glad we could do the service of the Screen Addicts to pitch these wonderful ideas. I'm glad that these ideas are being heard.
That's what Chris. We do.
This is
That's it. We always wonder if people are listening to the show. They are.
They definitely are.
They are.
And so the next headline I had here was Nicholas Hoult will be James Gunn's Lex Luthor in Superman Legacy. So if you know who Nicholas Hoult is, he was recently in The Menu. He's Jack the Giant Slayer. He was Hugh Grant's little buddy in About a Boy 20 years ago. Like, this kid's been around for a long time, but I mean, he's not a kid anymore. So they're definitely going the youthful route with the Lex Luthor casting. And he seems to be more of the part. If he's not bald, I'm going to be pissed. Because this whole like Jesse Eisenberg experiment was really weird. I don't know. I guess I could kind of understand the difference that they were trying to go for, but I think Nicholas Hoult will be a quality Lex Luthor.
Speaking of Eisenberg and our topic tonight, the scene he had with the Jolly Rancher.
Oh my God! Yes, and Dawn of Justice, right?
Yeah,
where he puts
that was almost on my list.
That's actually not a bad choice. Like, yeah, he puts it right at that senator's mouth, right?
Yep,
that's a perfect.
And then he has a whole monologue about a Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, and then the pee thing, and it blows up half of the Senate. But yeah, that's a perfect use of candy right there. See, but the next headline I had is Lupita Nyong'o, if you're a fan of her, the Oscar-winning Kenyan Mexican actor. Yes, I said Mexican actor. Did you know that Lupita Nyong'o grew up in Mexico? And she speaks perfect Spanish. I was blown away by that. My friend, shout out to my buddy Eddie, who sends me these TikToks of celebrities speaking Spanish. I don't know why I'm so fascinated.
Is he trying to get you to learn Spanish?
I guess he probably wants us to convert the whole podcast into a bilingual podcast or something. But I told him, I said, man, this is crazy. I love seeing actor like Ben Affleck. That blew me away. Dude's really good at speaking Spanish, and I don't know. I thought he sent me Lupita Nyong'o, and I had no idea that she grew up in Mexico and could speak perfect Spanish. It's crazy. But she actually will preside over the international jury of the upcoming Berlin Festival, and she's the second consecutive female jury president, following actress Kristen Stewart. So that's actually a pretty big deal for her to be running that up. So, and then the final headline that I had here, well, it's two passings. And we did mention that TV pioneer Norman Lear died at the age of 101. Now, this guy did Sanford and Son, All in the Family, Good Times, The Jeffersons, basically your parents' or grandparents' favorite shows growing up. And I think that, 101, that's pretty crazy. And the guy was actually very racially motivated to have more diverse television. Because look at those shows, Good Times, Jefferson's, very ethnic. And he's just an old white dude from California, but he was really trying to put a prominent voice out there because he knew that the viewership would really pull to a lot of these characters. And what's funny is Archie Bunker's considered one of the most racist, cantankerous characters in sitcom history. And he also created All in the Family. So he kind of goes and says, well, if you watch it, it's not as bad as you think. But then he goes on to do The Jeffersons and Good Times. So he had spent quite a bit of a career there. But the final headline that I had here was Andre Brower, passed away this past week at the age of 61. And Andre Brower, he has had a career for 30 years, but I think more recently people know him as Captain Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He brought he basically took all of his dramatic acting chops and brought him over into Brooklyn Nine-Nine because he plays it so dry, so straight, but yet he's the funniest and best character on that show. And this guy shows up in so many different things. Like when we rewatched City of Angels, I was like, oh, there's Captain Holt. Or when we watched Primal Fear with Richard Gere, he's one of his assistants working on the case. I was like, damn, Andre Braugher looks so young in this movie. It's so crazy. But yeah, the guy's had a great career, and I haven't seen what the cause of death was. They said that it was something that a very sudden illness, something that just happened to him. But yeah, he definitely will be missed at 61 too. That's pretty sad.
And wasn't he one of your top 3 police?
Yes,
characters.
He was number 3.
A recent episode.
That's true. Yes, good callback, Chris. And yeah, number 3 was Captain Raymond Holt, one of my top 3 and number 3 favorite cop character of all time. And man, he's just so good in that show. And it was shocking news, hearing that stuff. But we're gonna go something a little sour, okay, to something sweet. Sweet like candy.
There it is. I've missed your lead-ins, my friend. You haven't done a good one in a while.
Yeah, because I suck at them. Actually, my lead-ins aren't bad. It's my plugs for sponsorships.
Oh, that too.
Those are disastrous. Oh, that reminds me. If you use the promo code ScreenAddicts at Manscaped, you get 20% off and free shipping just in time for the holiday season. And yeah, they do promote their own holiday code, but
make your balls look sweet.
Yeah, worthy of being hung up as an ornament. But yeah, so Manscaped. Oh, and, speaking of, I guess also if you are having some holiday blues, you can always go to betterhelp.com/screenaddicts and sign up to speak to a licensed therapist and talk to him about anything that you may or may not be having an issue with. Because man, I know we joke about it, but the holidays can be very stressful. They can be very tiresome, and it can be very sad for a lot of people, especially if you had a loss.
Absolutely.
If you don't have family or friends around, and it's pretty difficult to go through. So betterhelp.com/screenaddicts. It's so bad. Like, I'm trying to be sincere about it, but then, but by the way, but still, no, seriously, I think it's a really good option. If you need to talk to somebody, it's always good to save 10% off, especially if you're going to be if you're paying for the service. I think that's one thing that was kind of the whole thing with us partnering with BetterHelp to begin with, is because we wanted to reach out to a lot of people who really do need this, because mental health is a serious thing nowadays. And I mean, it always has been, but you can have this avenue where you can discuss things and talk to things. And I mean, to be honest with you, man, this is like therapy for me, doing this podcast and getting to talk
100%.
about movies. Like, I always feel so great when we're done. And sometimes even when we start, I'll be kind of tired or something, but man, by the end of it, I'm just, that felt great. I feel rejuvenated.
I'm like, same. I'm like, oh man, I'm glad we got through that. I'm glad I took the 10 minutes I dread to set up everything.
Right.
I'm like, oh God, I got to put up the laptop and the light.
Exactly.
But after this hour and a half, however long we're talking, I'm like, dude, that was fun. And like, you get away for a little bit. And with BetterHelp, you get to get away and talk about, with no hesitations, no anything, people there to listen to you. And it's good. I mean, if you do not have a friend like I have a friend in Steven to listen to, or anybody, go ahead, man. It's okay. Nobody's here to judge, especially the Screen Addicts won't be judging nobody.
Hell no.
For sure.
We don't want it coming back on us either.
So,
well, that was
use the code. Use the code.
BetterHelp.com/screenaddicts. So, from something sour to something sweet. Yeah, I recycled it. I don't give a damn. That was a good one, and I'm going to stick with it. And I thought I wasted it, and then we went into the plugs. So we're going to be talking about candy now.
Candy.
So, like we had said earlier in the episode, this does not pertain to pastries or snacks, which I was having a difficult time because I couldn't think of anything other than pastries. Okay, like the Twinkies in Zombieland. That doesn't count. That's not candy. It's a snack. And the chocolate cake that I kept thinking about, I thought of so many things with cake. Like Brucey's cake and Matilda, the whole damn movie Chocolat is about chocolate. You know, like everything in that movie is just dripping with confectionery chocolate. I don't know.
Sugars.
Sugar. That's what we should have said. Sugar rush.
Sugar.
Damn it. Anyway, but we did find a way to narrow down our top 3 moments of candy. Now, this also does pertain to television, just in case you had any picks for TV. We kind of branched it out there. I mean, I didn't think of too many TV things, but for you, TV Viegas, go ahead. Number 3.
All right, number 3. I am starting with TV because I had a number 3 pick, but Steven was like, no, you need to do this one. And my number 3 is going to be Monica Geller's holiday candy episode.
Oh yeah.
And man, this candy she makes for Christmas, so it's fitting, right? She leaves it out on the front door, and anybody that wants a couple pieces could come and have some. You know, it turns into a whole thing, and the whole damn apartment building is rioting because they want more candy, and they start calling her the candy lady. And then Joey gets in with it because he wants more candy too, and he joins the mob. Oh man, it's a funny episode. And,
yeah.
It's great, and it's holiday candy, so it fits in. I don't really even know what kind of candy it is. They don't really ever say. I mean, when they ask her, what is it? And somebody says, it just tastes just like heaven.
Yeah.
So, if you know what kind of candy it is, yeah, definitely let me know. I can't believe I don't know.
I was about to say, if you don't know, I guarantee you nobody else knows. But I think that's the little nod to the mystery about it. It kind of lets you think of your own, thought about what it could possibly be. Is it like a hard candy? Is it a morsel? Is it soft, like taffy? Like, what is it? That I think that makes it more enticing, is to try to figure out what type of candy it is. It's definitely not chocolate, because we've already ruled that out.
Yeah, so that's my number 3, Monica's holiday candy.
Okay. I didn't know on my number 3, I just thought about all 3 of mine are candy bars. So I think that's okay. Even though there's chocolate in my number 3 pick. I couldn't get away from the chocolate.
Chocolate to me is a candy.
Okay.
It depends on how you make it.
Okay.
But I mean, like you said, it's a candy bar. There's a lot of candy that has chocolate. So you're good.
Okay. Because, like, for example, my original number 3 that I had pitched to you was the chocolate covered pretzels in Mallrats. And then I was telling Sonia, I was like, oh yeah, my number 3 is the chocolate covered pretzels from Mallrats. The one where Brody stink palms them, and then his best friend's girlfriend's dad eats them and it makes him sick. Well, anyway, so I was like, she's like, yeah, but chocolate covered pretzels aren't candy. That's like more of a snack, like dipped in chocolate. So I'm like, oh, that's true. But then I thought, like you said, certain candies have chocolate in them, like a Snickers bar, for example. And in my number 3 pick, it is from Seinfeld. I wanted to take a page from your book and pick a TV pick. And it is the one where Elaine's boss, Mr. Pitt, the old man, Mr. Pitt, he has this really weird thing. Like, he's very rich and posh, sophisticated gentleman who loves to eat Snickers, right? But he doesn't just eat Snickers like a normal person does, where you tear it open and just hold it with your hand. He lays the Snickers out on a plate and eats it with a fork and knife. So, and let me tell you, when I would watch Seinfeld with my mom, I would eat my candy bars like that in front of my mom. So I guess I kind of get where Connor trolls me, but like my mom, it would always drive her nuts. She's like, oh my gosh, why do you eat your candy like Mr. Pitt in Seinfeld? I'm like, I don't know, it just looks funny. So he'll take a knife and fork and eat it like it's a steak or something. It's so funny. It's stuck with me forever. I'm gonna go do that in front of my family like over Christmas, just to see what they say, because my kids don't know.
I should do that too.
You should. It would be so funny, because like Sonia would get it because she loves Seinfeld. Like, she would know exactly what it was. But like Connor and Madison and Madison's husband Luke, like, they'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you eating it like that? I'm like, I've always eaten it like this. Like, make it seem as normal as possible. So I'm gonna like entice the listening audience to start the Snickers challenge.
Dude, that's what we should do on our TikTok. See if it can go viral. See how many people will do the Snickers challenge.
I'll
Snickers elegant challenge.
I'll make
or
a post about it to see, because that would be hilarious. But yes, that is my number 3 pick, the Snickers eaten by Mr. Pitt on Seinfeld. Now my number 2 pick is a classic. It's a Baby Ruth bar, obviously in the Goonies. The whole thing, Chunk has a Baby Ruth. Sloth loves the Baby Ruth, wants the Baby Ruth, has a whole scene about it. There was also in Caddyshack where Bill Murray has the Baby Ruth in the pool, and someone thinks that they dropped a log in the pool, but it was just the Baby Ruth. I didn't want to go that route because it's nasty. I would rather go the more wholesome route, in which Sloth bonds with Chunk over a delicious Baby Ruth candy bar, which is why it is my number 2.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
A Baby Ruth?
Of that character.
Oh, yeah. It was at a time. At a time in our past lives.
And I know damn well my best friend IJ will listen to this episode, and he's going to text me as soon as he hears this, and he's going to talk mad shit. So IJ, screw you, man.
Yeah. Go to hell early on. But I don't know. But everybody knows the Goonies. Everybody loves the Baby Ruth from the Goonies. And
how does he say it?
Ruth, baby, Ruth. That was the best. That's the best that I got.
Oh,
I tried. I'm not Sloth, man. What do you want me to do? But
I ain't either.
Nobody said you were, Chris. Let's just bury it and leave it in the past. And that wasn't an attack on you. I just picked it because I love the damn Goonies. But so your number 2 pick, sir, please.
All right, my number 2 is a little more modern, still TV series-ish as well. And I'm going with the Choco Rockets from Sweet Tooth, the Netflix series Sweet Tooth.
Yes.
This is kind of a deadly candy bar because this is what the bad guys kind of lure these animal children with, so they can capture them and study them and do whatever they want to do with them. But
that's a very wholesome choice, Chris.
I'm telling you. But this is why he gets the nickname Sweet Tooth. That is because true. He loves these candy bars so much. So, and Big Man notices that, and that's why he calls him Sweet Tooth, because he has all these candy bars, because he never got to eat them because he was in hiding and this and that. So it has to be a damn good candy.
That's true.
So that's my number 2, the Choco Rockets.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. At first when you wrote that, I was like, what is that? And I remembered Sweet Tooth. I still didn't watch season 2 of it, man. I don't know why. It just kind of passed me by, but not that I wasn't uninterested or anything. I just never pushed play for some weird reason. And
you need to.
I will.
It's good.
All right. So do you have any honorable mentions before our number 1s?
The Jolly Rancher.
Oh, the Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
The Dawn of Jolly.
The Dawn of Jolly. And then this was my number 3 pick until I got switched out. But Sam's Lollipop from Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
That murderous little lollipop thing.
Oh, wait. You're talking about Sam from Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, did you mean like Dr. Loomis had a lollipop?
No.
Okay.
No, Sam from Trick or Treat.
Okay.
His lollipop.
I got you. Okay. Yeah. And not only does he have that lollipop, but he also has a candy bar that he eats, but then he puts a razor blade at the end of it. So he's using that shit too. Again, chocolate, but it's a candy bar, damn it. I will stand on the Choco River to support this. I think that the lollipop from Trick or Treat's very iconic. We even have a plastic replica of it. Don't worry, it won't hurt anybody. It's just we're big fans.
That's what you say.
Right.
I'm sure Erica has one that's probably made of metal and could probably really kill you.
That's funny you mentioned her. We're going to have to give her a shout out for something specific at the end of this episode. But I also had a couple of honorable mentions. One of them was, it all goes back to chocolate cake. Chocolate. Like what is it? Minnie's chocolate pie from The Help. That
Yeah.
you just ate my shit.
No.
That's okay. Yeah, that one's not good. The Birdie Bots from Harry Potter, those little like jelly beans where they taste like, jelly beans. But in Harry Potter world, it could be something very, very disgusting. And those count. Those count.
It's like those Bean Boozled. Have you ever
That's exactly
played that game?
Yes. It's nasty.
Oh, it's so gross.
It could be
man.
nasty, man. I like the booger ones personally, so I wasn't phased at all. I'm just kidding. That was nasty.
That's gross.
We had Wreck-It Ralph, King Candy, and Vanellope von Schweetz, the Sugar Rush game. Like that's all candy. That's good stuff.
Yep.
I guess that's all I really had. I know there's a bunch of instances that aren't snacks.
I had back to Harry Potter, the chocolate frogs.
Oh yeah, that counts.
So
to hell with it. Let's just count chocolate. Chocolat.
I mean, Wonka is all about the chocolate. So right. I mean,
and I guess we could also mention like the candy in Wonka. Like we specifically didn't choose any of the Wonka candies because it was too easy. We really wanted to try to branch out. I thought we failed successfully. No, our picks were good. But I mean, when you think about Wonka in itself, like the Scrumdiddlyumptious bars, the chocolate bars, just
everlasting gobstopper.
The everlasting gobstopper. That is the candy, man. And you know what pisses me off is if you go to the store and buy the Wonka everlasting gobstopper, they're like balls.
They're round, yeah.
They're not balls in the movie. They're like these weird dodecahedrons or something. And I was like, I remember when I was little getting to go buy everlasting. I saw the packet. And I should have felt it that they were balls, but I opened. I'm like, what is this shit? These aren't everlasting gobstoppers like they are in the movie. So they swindled us, man. They were like,
they did.
I don't know. There's like Slugworths. This is Slugworth's version.
That was Gene Wilder's wicked mind. That bastard.
You lose. Good day, sir. You know what I'm hoping that they have in the new Wonka is, the Pure Imagination track. That song is straight fire. It's so good. I've always loved that song. We randomly sing it. That and they won't have Cheer Up Charlie at all, but Pure Imagination's got to show up somehow, man. It's just such a great song,
dude. I liked it when Glee did it.
Yes, that's right.
At a funeral, but it was still really good.
Yeah.
I hope they show us how the half room became too.
That
would be cool.
They have to. And the glass elevator. Let's show all of it. Show all of it. You know what? Make a sequel. I don't care. Pure Imagination. I want that to be played at my funeral. Make sure that that's done for me, Chris.
Got you, bro.
And you know what else just popped in my head was the sugar sticks from Breakfast Club. When she's pouring the sugar sticks on that sandwich.
On the sandwich?
Yeah, it was disgusting. I tried it. I mean, of course I did. It was pretty gross, but that counts. That's all sugar. So, I mean, it's definitely no chocolate there. But you know what?
But does it count as a candy once it goes on the sandwich?
Ooh, that is a good loophole. So if she
because it itself is a candy, yes.
Right.
But once you put it on the sandwich, does it still count as a candy?
Ooh, it negates its existence. This is very thought-provoking, Chris. I wasn't prepared for that. So that's what we do at the Screen Addicts. We get real existential about sugar sticks. But I don't know. I'm going to have to think I'm going to be waking up in the middle of the night thinking, damn it, was it a candy after the fact? So he's like, what's wrong with you? Go back to sleep. But I will finish with my number one because I guess it's kind of basic, like the basic bitch I am. I can't help it, man. I can't.
Mine's pretty basic too, man.
But I'm always so mainstream. I can't help it. Like I always talk about how diverse my cinephile mentality is and how eclectic some of my deep-rooted picks of film go, but then I always end up picking something from Spielberg because that's just what I grew up. That's who I love.
That is.
And no surprise, number one is the Reese's Pieces from E.T. I mean, I just, I always love the trivia about this particular instance where M&M's, they approached M&M's first to see if they wanted to be the candy to be featured in E.T. And M&M's were like, no, we're good. And this is also, I don't know why they wouldn't say yes. I mean, Spielberg has already pretty much established himself. He had done Jaws, he'd done Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't jump at that, but they didn't really feel like it was a good fit. They didn't know if it would make sense to have their product in this Alien movie. Boy, did they mess up, because
Oh yeah.
Reese's jumped at it. They're like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And people, there's almost this like urban mythology that Reese's peanut butter cups and Reese's today is still one of the top selling candies of all time. And they think it's because by having it featured in ET, it like set it apart from everything else. Sales like quadrupled after the release of that movie, and then it allowed them to move forward with like the peanut butter cups and all this other stuff. So I think that's so crazy that, and in the movie, if you remember, that's kind of how Elliot bonds with ET, because ET likes Reese's Pieces. I mean, who doesn't? But that's why.
See, I was always confused about that too, because to me, and this is just me thinking back when I was little, I don't have very good memory back then. I didn't know there was Reese's Pieces that far back. I thought it was still pretty new, like 90s new.
Oh, wow.
But obviously not.
No.
So I thought maybe they had just made this product just for that movie at that time, and then they finally came out with them later.
Oh, no, definitely not. And luckily for them, that is a kind of an interesting. So wait, you thought that? Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
I was like, so they made it in 82, because that came out in 1982. But I guess as a little kid, we don't really think of how a movie comes out, because we obviously didn't watch it in 1982. We're watching ET in like the late 80s.
First of all, you weren't born.
Right. So I think that from that mentality, though, as a child, you could watch an older movie at the time period of like the late 80s. So, I mean, that actually kind of makes sense when you look at it from a timeline perspective. Say we watched it in like 88, 89 for the first time, and then you see Reese's Pieces and you're like, okay, well, this, because we don't really have any kind of bearing on when a movie was released at that age. I mean, I did, but that's just because that's how I always like gauged movies like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's an interesting notion too. See, Chris, we are going so philosophically this night, man. We're just trying to talk about candy.
It's because we talked about BetterHelp first.
Yeah. See, that
opened up a door.
It inspired us to think. This isn't that kind of podcast, but I'm liking.
And we're talking about candy.
Jeez. And how chocolate does not count. Chocolate cake does not count. But yeah, but so Reese's Pieces, number one. So what do you have for your number one?
All right, my number one, I'm with Steven on this one. Pretty mainstream. Probably one of the most quotable lines out of any movie ever made, and that is Forrest Gump and the life is like a box of chocolates. And it's his box of chocolates, man. It's candy, it's chocolate, so I'm with you on that one, Steven, for sure. But man, when you talk about candy in a movie, it almost is along those lines of the Reese's Pieces in E.T., man. The box of chocolates from Forrest Gump. I mean, that whole movie it's pretty much almost how that movie starts, right?
Oh yeah,
with him sitting on that bench talking about his life and what his mama says. So it's so iconic, and if you're alive and breathing, you've probably heard that line at least once from the movie or somebody saying it to you.
Yeah.
So that is why it's my number one.
I would say imitate Forrest saying it, but you might get canceled.
I know. I would. I really would.
We'll do it off the air. I gotta hear it, or nobody can hear what the shit we say.
Or we can make it into a Manscaped ad.
That kind of sparked my creativity. I'm like, how would Forrest Gump use Manscaped? No, I'm not gonna do. I won't do that. I will not do that.
Jenny would help him for sure.
She could use it too.
There you go. Oh gosh.
Well, on that wonderful note, man, I'm kind of hungry for some sweets now, man. I really like this. This was a fun one. Can't wait to see.
It was fun. Mm-hmm. Again, it comes back to, where I was like, man, how is this episode going to pull off? It was a really fun episode.
Just trust me, man. I will take us to the promised land.
That you will. You always do.
And before you give off our closing announcements, we have an announcement ourselves. Would you like to share about next week's episode?
No, I don't want to.
What a promoter.
Because my stance on this episode, and you're trying to bring me down again, Steven.
Come join us, Chris.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as much as you loved Erica from one of our guests in our horror month of October, she's coming back. She is coming back, and we're going to be talking about. I can't believe I'm letting Steven do this to me, but we're going to be talking about horror Christmas themed movies, scary Christmas movies.
Yes.
And apparently, there's a shit ton of them.
Oh yeah.
And I like my wholesome family. Nice movies, and now I have to do research on scary Christmas movies. So guys, if you have any recommendations for me to watch horror Christmas movies, shoot them at me. That's what I'll be watching this week. So
it's funny. It's one of those situations where you're like, I can't believe we're doing this again. I was like, well, you can sit out, and you're like, no, I want to play.
I only want to come back because Erica's coming.
Yeah,
back.
She's great.
She's so fun.
I had talked to her about it, and she was like, yeah, this is really good. She was kind of thinking, ooh, but to make it Christmas specific, that adds a little bit of a wrinkle. And I think, I have a couple of my favorites. We may not do a top 3 list, but we might just mention like some, and then our favorite ones that we watch every single year. I already have. I could do like 5 easy, because that's just how.
So let me ask you this: is Nightmare Before Christmas going to be considered? It's not really scary.
It doesn't necessarily have to be scary. I think it could have like this like gothic undertone, something dark, something a little bit more. Because a kid holds out a severed head from a box in Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, just because it's not gory or scary or violent or for mature audiences doesn't necessarily imply that it isn't horror related. Because it's I think Nightmare Before Christmas. My counter argument to that is like, would you consider that a Christmas or Halloween movie? And I always just watch it during Thanksgiving because it takes care of both holidays.
Right.
And there's nothing coming out for Thanksgiving. So I think that'll work.
There is now your scary whatever the hell that is now.
Thank you, Eli Roth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that something like that. See, you're already brainstorming. You're already there, Chris. There's one of your picks.
All right. There's only 2. Is that one and another one, and I'll save it for next week.
Okay.
So,
man, I'm gonna text you one to watch, because me and Sonia actually were just watching one tonight. It's a repeated watch that we've had for like 15 years, man. It's been around for a long time. I'll text it to you because I really want you to watch it. Just to,
oh, great.
And you may have already seen it, but I don't give a shit. We'll give a preview, but like, it's not my personal favorite, so I don't think it'll be on Erica's either. But it's Black Christmas. Have you ever seen like the 74 Black Christmas or the 2006?
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I have seen trailers. Okay. And as soon as I see the trailer, I'm like, nope, that's not Christmas.
They remade it in 2019, and that one was okay. It was fine. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't what we were used to. But I want you to go to Amazon and watch. I don't know if it's on Freevee or AMC Plus, but that's where we're watching.
It's on Tubi.
Yeah, it's probably definitely on Tubi. But you should watch the 2006 Black Christmas, man. and watch it with Tasha, please, because oh my god, it's so crazy, and it's just the risk that they take in that is, I mean, it's nuts. But yeah, but I'm excited. Next week, holiday horror themed, coming back.
Fun. I'm so excited, as you can tell. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this candy-filled episode. We hope you got your fill of all the sweets, and if you didn't, I'm sorry. But since you're here already, go ahead and hit subscribe so that you know when we're dropping new episodes. And we've been really consistent lately, so it's going to be weekly. Just so you get that notification. You got to have that subscribe button smashed. And then as long as you're there as well, go ahead and leave us a review. 5 stars would be wonderful. That just helps us get seen a little bit more around the podcast universe there. And then on to the socials. Go ahead. All you got to do is look up the Screen Addicts podcast, whether it's on X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Wait, Twitter and X are the same thing. Never mind. Scratch that. TikTok. Just look for our cover art. That is us. No, but we haven't gotten famous enough yet for anybody to like duplicate us or try to be us. But that's coming. I feel it.
Not if you ask my mother.
But follow us there, and then go back to Facebook, guys. We have a private group there called the Screen Addicts Fanatics, and that is where we are most active, dropping trailers and movie news. And we have some amazing fanatics on there that are really active, helping us out, man. They're sharing movie stuff, TV stuff all the time. There's a lot of people there looking for good recommendations. So go by, become one of our fanatics. We'd love to be there. Like I said, it's on Facebook, private group. Just look up the Screen Addicts Fanatics. And then also, if you ever have any questions, comments, or if you want to try to be on the show and we can work something out, you can email us at screenaddictspodcast@gmail.com. We'll read any comments for sure online on the show. And then, like I said, if you want to be a guest on the show, we'll see if we can work something out and we'll get you on. It'll be great. But other than that, I think that is it for us tonight. So as for me, good night.
Adios, amigos.